I still remember the searing pain in my lower back during my first Ironman 70.3. I had bought a generic tri-bike, assuming aero is aero. I spent 4 hours fighting crosswinds, cramped in a terrible position, and completely ruined my run. Buying a triathlon bike isn't just about throwing money at carbon fiber. It's about finding the perfect balance of aerodynamics, integration, and comfort. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 best triathlon bikes on the market after rigorous real-world testing. But the bike that took the #1 spot completely shattered my expectations of what speed feels like. 7. Argon 18 E117 Tri-Disc. When I first got my hands on this bike, I was genuinely excited because it has a reputation as the ultimate gateway drug into serious triathlon racing. Taking it out on my local training loops, it immediately felt stable and confident, especially on the descents. The addition of disc brakes to this frame was a necessary modern update, providing the stopping power that gives you the courage to hold your aero tucked just a few seconds longer before cornering. It is a highly accessible machine that doesn't demand professional level flexibility right out of the box. Setting up the E117 was surprisingly straightforward compared to the nightmare of modern superbikes. Because it relies on a standard stem and steerer tube design, making micro adjustments to the cockpit didn't require me to unearth a hidden manual or bleed hydraulic lines. During long endurance rides, the carbon layup felt reasonably forgiving, absorbing the worst of the road chatter while keeping my legs relatively fresh for the brick run. It is a bike that definitely respects the everyday age grouper who prefers a hassle-free maintenance routine. However, my time testing this bike wasn't without its frustrations. As I started pushing for marginal gains, the glaring lack of integrated hydration and storage became a serious annoyance. In an era where bikes are designed around internal bladders and hidden bento boxes, having to strap external bottles and bags to the E117 completely disrupts its aerodynamic profile. Every time I reached for a drink, I could feel the wind drag, which defeats the purpose of being on a dedicated time trial machine in the first place. 6. Factor HANZŌ. When I unboxed the HANZŌ, the razor-thin profile of the head tube and the extraordinarily deep fork legs left me speechless. It is a bike explicitly designed to slice through the wind, taking full advantage of the relaxed UCI regulations to create airfoils that are breathtakingly deep. On my first flat-out sprint, the bike felt like a missile. The raw speed and efficiency on long, uninterrupted stretches of tarmac were genuinely intoxicating. The power transfer on this machine is nothing short of brutal in the best way possible. Every single watt I pushed through the pedals was immediately translated into forward momentum, with zero discernible flex in the bottom bracket or the rear triangle. The incredibly narrow front profile means that you are punching a minuscule hole in the wind. When the conditions are absolutely perfect, and the road is entirely flat, riding the HANZŌ feels like cheating, as it hums along at high speeds with far less effort than I anticipated. However, the blistering speed comes at a significant cost, which became painfully obvious during my longer test rides. The extreme stiffness that makes it so fast also translates to a punishingly harsh ride quality. After 80 miles on less than perfect pavement, my shoulders and lower back were screaming. The geometry is wildly aggressive, practically demanding that you fold yourself into a high-performance time trial position that most amateur triathletes will struggle to maintain for an entire Ironman bike leg. My biggest issue with the HANZŌ, though, is its temperament in unpredictable weather and its lack of triathlon-specific utility. The moment I encountered strong crosswinds, that massive surface area turned the bike into a sail, requiring exhausting upper body effort to keep it riding in a straight line. 5. Scott Plasma 6. Riding the Plasma 6 was a revelation in purposeful design. The frame features massive, deep tube shapes and a unique rear wheel fairing that effectively shields the tire from the wind. During my test rides, this translated to a remarkably stable aerodynamic cocoon. The faster I rode, the more planted the bike felt, cutting through turbulent air with a smooth, predictable grace that inspired immense confidence. What truly sets the Plasma 6 apart during real-world testing is its absolute mastery of integration. The hydration system is housed entirely within the frame, and the bento box for nutrition is seamlessly molded into the top tube. I spent a 4-hour test ride feeding and drinking without ever having to break my aero tuck, which is a massive advantage over 112 miles. The sheer volume of storage meant I could carry all my liquid and solid calories for a long-distance race without strapping a single external accessory to the frame, maintaining its pristine aerodynamic profile perfectly. Beyond the impressive storage, Scott has completely overhauled the adjustability of the cockpit, which I found to be a massive relief. The Synchros cockpit allows for an astonishing range of fit adjustments, meaning you can dial in your exact pad reach, stack, and angle without needing proprietary spaces for every tiny tweak. I was able to optimize my position for maximum comfort and power output within an hour in the garage, ensuring that I was biomechanically efficient rather than just purely aerodynamic. Out on the road, the ride quality was highly refined, striking a beautiful balance between stiffness and compliance. The bike accelerated sharply out of turnarounds, but the carbon layup managed to mute the harsh vibrations of chip seal roads effectively. 4. Cervelo P5. This bike carries an aura of dominance, and taking it out for a spin immediately reminds you why it has won so many world championships. The latest iteration of the P5 has refined its aerodynamic tube shapes to perfection, and the moment you clip in, the bike practically begs you to push harder. Cruising at race pace felt effortless, with the frame slicing through the air with a silent, lethal efficiency that is characteristic of Cervelo's relentless wind tunnel testing. One of the most striking aspects of my time on the P5 was its extraordinary handling characteristics. Tri-bikes are notoriously sluggish in corners, but the P5 handles much more like a high-end road bike. During technical descents with tight switchbacks, I could lean the bike over with absolute trust. The frame geometry and precise steering response allowed me to carve through corners without constantly riding the brakes, carrying precious momentum that ultimately translates to faster overall splits. It completely shatters the stereotype that aero bikes can't handle well. Another massive advantage I experienced was the bike's surprisingly low weight. While aerodynamics always trump weight on a flat course, the P5's featherlight chassis made a noticeable difference on rolling terrain. When I hit short, punchy climbs during my test route, the bike responded with an energetic snap that is rare for a triathlon machine. Standing out of the saddle, the chassis felt incredibly rigid and responsive, allowing me to conquer hilly segments without feeling like I was dragging a heavy time trial anchor behind me. The integration on the P5 is elegantly executed, offering sleek, aerodynamic storage solutions that don't complicate the rider experience. 3. Quintana Roo V-Pri. From the moment I swung my leg over this bike, I knew I was riding something uniquely tailored for the modern triathlete. Quintana Roo has completely embraced asymmetrical design with their shift technology, which directs the wind to the cleaner, non-drivetrain side of the bike. Out on the road, this isn't just marketing jargon. I could genuinely feel a reduction in drag and an astonishing level of stability when the coastal crosswinds started howling during my afternoon test rides. The V-Pri delivers a ride quality that is wonderfully plush without sacrificing any power transfer. The frame utilizes premium carbon layups that actively dampen road buzz, which is a lifesaver when you are staring down a 112-mile course. I spent hours locked into the aerobars, and the chassis did an exceptional job of isolating my upper body from the harsh impacts of potholes and uneven pavement. This level of comfort kept my heart rate steady and my muscles relaxed, preparing me perfectly for the run. What truly made me fall in love with the V-Pri, however, is its absolute dedication to practical integration and travel. The internal hydration system is massive and incredibly easy to clean, while the integrated nutrition storage in the top tube keeps the frame looking flawlessly sleek. Furthermore, unlike many superbikes that require an engineering degree to pack for a flight, the V-Pri's front end is remarkably easy to disassemble and reassemble. I practiced packing it into a travel case, and the process was stress-free, a massive bonus for destination races. Performance-wise, the V-Pri is deceptively fast because it is so stable and comfortable. You don't always realize just how rapidly you are eating up the miles until you look down at your bike computer. 2. Trek Speed Concept SLR. The anticipation of testing this bike was high, and it absolutely delivered on every single promise. Trek took a completely ground-up approach for this iteration, and the result is a machine that looks as if it were carved directly from the wind. My initial rollout on the Speed Concept SLR was met with an immediate sensation of effortless gliding. The aerodynamic efficiency of the camtail virtual foil tube shapes is palpable, slicing through headwinds with almost zero resistance. The absolute crowning achievement of this bike, and the reason it ranks so highly, is the inclusion of Trek's ISO Speed decoupler. I intentionally took the speed concept over the roughest, most neglected farm roads in my area. The ISO speed system absorbed the punishing impacts that would normally shatter your rhythm on a traditional tri-bike. The level of seated comfort is unparalleled in the triathlon world. It actively preserved my lower back and glutes, resulting in the freshest off-the-bike transition run I have ever experienced during a brick workout. Trek also nailed the integrated storage beautifully. Everything on this bike has a designated aerodynamic home. The between-the-arms hydration bottle seamlessly continues the profile of the front end, while the hidden flat kit storage inside the down tube is a stroke of genius. I love that I could carry a full repair kit tubes and CO2 without taping a single thing to the frame or using an ugly saddlebag. The bike remains aerodynamically pristine, exactly as it was tested in the wind tunnel, regardless of how much gear you are carrying. The adjustability of the Speed Concept SLR is another massive win. The front cockpit is incredibly user-friendly, allowing for significant stack and reach adjustments with minimal fuss. 1. Canyon Speedmax CFR Di2. From the second I unboxed this magnificent machine, it was clear that I was looking at the pinnacle of triathlon engineering. This is the exact frame that has carried world champions to victory in Kona, and riding it makes you understand why. The CFR frame utilizes the highest grade of carbon fiber Canyon has ever produced, resulting in a chassis that is absurdly lightweight yet remarkably stiff. My first pedal stroke felt like being launched from a catapult. The acceleration is instant, aggressive, and utterly thrilling. Out on the open road, the Speedmax CFR is a revelation in high-speed stability and aerodynamic dominance. The bike simply refuses to lose momentum. During long, sustained efforts on flat highways, the bike felt like it was locked onto rails. Despite the deep section, aerodynamic tubes, the handling was telepathic. I could navigate crosswinds and sweeping corners with the slightest shift in body weight, never having to break out of my aero tuck. It provides a level of high-speed confidence that allows you to push your physical limits without fighting the machine. What truly elevates the Speedmax CFR above the rest is its flawless, fully integrated hydration and storage system. Canyon engineered a hydration bladder hidden entirely within the down tube, utilizing a magnetic straw that sits perfectly within reach on the aero extensions. Drinking on the fly has never been easier or more aerodynamically sound. The integrated bento box in the top tube and the tool storage above the bottom bracket mean that the bike is fully self-sufficient while remaining a wind-cheating weapon. Everything is exactly where you need it, perfectly integrated into the sleekest profile imaginable. Finally, the pro-level cockpit adjustability ensures that every rider can find their absolute perfect fit.